If you truly want a woman to regret leaving you and beg you to come back, even if she's already with someone else, the first thing you must understand is that chasing, pleading, or trying to explain yourself never works. The more you try to prove your worth to her with words, the more she sees you as weak, desperate, and replaceable. What makes her rethink her decision is not what you say, but the aura you project when you stop trying to convince her and instead rebuild your own confidence and mystery. This shift in energy is what makes her start to wonder about you, to question her choices, and to slowly feel that magnetic pull back toward you. Think about it for a moment. What initially attracted her to you wasn't endless validation or constant attention. It was the way you carried yourself. It was the unspoken confidence in your posture, the calmness in your words, and the subtle air of mystery that made her curious to know more. Over time, most men lose this. They become predictable, overly available, and too eager to please. And when that happens, the spark dies. If you want to flip the dynamic, you must go back to the root of what created attraction in the first place. Your masculine frame, your presence, and your ability to hold your ground without trying too hard. Confidence is not about arrogance or being loud. It's about an inner calm, a certainty that you don't need to prove anything to anyone. When you walk into a room, people should feel that energy before you even speak. That presence comes from knowing your value and not being shaken by external circumstances, whether she's with someone else or not. Women are deeply wired to be drawn to men who don't crumble under pressure. When you show her that you remain strong, grounded, and unbothered, even after losing her, she starts to realize that she didn't take away your power. That realization makes her question whether she truly walked away from the right man. Now, mystery is equally important. If she knows everything about your life, if she can predict your every move, if she knows you're still waiting for her, then she feels no urgency. She feels no pull. But when you detach and stop giving her constant updates, when you live your life without broadcasting every detail, curiosity begins to work in your favor. She starts to wonder, what is he doing now? Who is he with? Why does he seem different? That wondering is what plants the first seeds of longing in her mind. The key here is not to fake confidence or try to act mysterious, it's to genuinely build it. That means redirecting your energy toward yourself. Work on your body, your health, your goals. Reconnect with hobbies, passions, and ambitions that maybe you let slip away while you were focused on her. When you start investing in yourself instead of in her approval, you naturally radiate a different energy. People around you notice it, and believe me, she will notice it too, whether directly or indirectly. Imagine this, while she's with someone else, she expects you to be broken, waiting, and miserable. That's the picture she holds in her mind because it confirms her decision. But instead, she sees you calmer than ever, maybe looking sharper, walking taller, laughing more, and moving forward in life. That unexpected reality hits her emotions harder than anything you could ever say. She begins to question her choice because she sees you are not only surviving without her, you're thriving. That contrast between what she expected and what she sees is what triggers her curiosity and eventually her regret. Another powerful shift is in how you respond to her presence. If she reaches out casually, don't rush to reply. Don't show that you've been waiting. A man who is grounded in confidence and mystery takes his time, responds with calmness, and doesn't give away all his attention at once. This shows her that your world doesn't revolve around her anymore, and that realization is extremely attractive because it makes her feel that she's the one who has to earn her way back into your life. Women are emotional creatures. They are drawn to stories, experiences, and the unknown. When you strip away all mystery by being too available, too predictable, and too exposed, you take away the very thing that keeps her invested. But when you cultivate mystery, by not explaining everything, by living a bigger life than just the relationship, by keeping certain things private. You reignite that natural pull inside her to figure you out again. Confidence and mystery also go hand in hand with respect. The truth is, if she left you and you fell apart, she loses respect for you. But if she left you and you stand tall, keep your dignity, and continue building your life, she can't help but respect you again. Respect is the foundation of attraction, and once that respect is rebuilt, the door to desire slowly reopens. So how do you put this into practice? Start small. Carry yourself differently. Walk with your shoulders back, head up, like a man who knows where he's going. Speak less, listen more. Don't rush to fill silence with explanations. Be comfortable with pauses. These subtle changes project confidence without you even having to announce it. At the same time, stop oversharing. If she asks about your life, give her just enough, but leave space for her curiosity. You don't need to post every detail on social media or tell her exactly what you're up to. The less she knows, the more she wonders. Rebuilding your aura of confidence and mystery is not about playing games. It's about becoming the man you were meant to be. A man who is steady, composed, and not easily swayed. A man who doesn't need validation to know his worth. When you embody that energy, women can feel it deeply, and even if she's with someone else, she'll start to compare. She'll notice the difference in how you carry yourself versus the man she's with. That comparison is powerful, and it often becomes the very thing that makes her reconsider her choice. Remember this, attraction is not logical, it's emotional. You can't argue or reason your way back into her life, but you can make her feel the loss of your presence through your aura. By rebuilding your confidence and keeping an air of mystery, you shift from being the man she walked away from to the man she now regrets losing. And when that shift happens, that's when she starts to crave your presence again. When a woman walks away from you, the biggest mistake most men make is to try to win her back by talking, by explaining, or by trying to convince her that they've changed. Words rarely move her in the way you think they will. If anything, the more you try to show her with your mouth that you're different, the less she believes you. What really shakes her to her core, what really makes her pay attention, is when she sees with her own eyes that you've upgraded yourself in silence. Quiet transformation is louder than any declaration you could ever make. Think about the psychology here. If she leaves you, especially for someone else, she has already told herself a story. In her mind, she has painted a picture of you as someone who is stuck, predictable, maybe even weak. That story helps her feel justified in walking away. It gives her comfort because she believes she's moving on to something better. But when she begins to notice that the man she thought she left behind is no longer the same man, that he is sharper, fitter, calmer, more focused, and living life on his terms without begging for her attention, that story begins to crumble. Suddenly, her certainty wavers. She begins to ask herself if she made a mistake. The power of upgrading yourself in silence lies in the element of surprise. You don't broadcast your changes. You don't announce to the world that you're working on yourself. You simply do the work day after day, consistently and quietly. Whether it's improving your body, building your financial stability, enhancing your style, deepening your mindset, or exploring new passions, you allow the results to speak for themselves. When she eventually sees you, or even just hears about you through others, the contrast is undeniable. She expected you to be the same or worse off, but instead, she finds that you've evolved into a better version of yourself. That's the moment the regret begins to seep in. There's something deeply magnetic about a man who doesn't need to announce his growth. Silence carries strength. When you move in silence, people assume that you are busy building, and that assumption carries weight. Women especially are incredibly perceptive. Even if you don't directly show her, she'll pick up on subtle signals. the way you carry yourself differently, the confidence in your eyes, the upgrades in your appearance. These little details communicate more than words ever could. Now, why silence instead of making noise about your growth? Because when you talk too much about what you're doing, it weakens the impact. Imagine if you constantly post about going to the gym, about how you're grinding, about how you're going to become successful. At first, people may notice, but over time, it starts to sound like you're trying to prove something. On the other hand, if you disappear for a while, focus on yourself, and then reappear stronger, leaner, sharper, and more composed, the transformation shocks everyone. It creates a wave of curiosity and respect. That silence, followed by undeniable results, makes people lean in, wanting to know what changed. And here's the beautiful part: when she sees this, even if she's with someone else, she can't stop the comparison. Women naturally compare. She will look at the man she's with now and measure him against the man you've become. If her current partner has remained the same while you've leveled up, she will begin to feel the gap. That comparison doesn't just stay in her mind, it stirs her emotions. She'll remember the version of you she once knew, and she'll see the upgraded version you've become. That combination of familiarity and evolution is incredibly powerful. It's like looking at someone you once had but now realizing they're better than before. That's the type of realization that makes her crave to be back in your life. Upgrading yourself also heals you in the process. Instead of sitting in bitterness, jealousy, or regret, you pour your energy into building a version of yourself that no one can overlook. The gym becomes your therapy, your work becomes your mission, your style becomes sharper, your conversations become deeper. You transform not for her, but for you. And ironically, when you stop doing it for her and start doing it for yourself, that's when she feels the greatest pull back toward you. There is also a psychological element here called fear of missing out. When she sees you improving silently, living well, looking better, and moving forward, she feels like she is being left behind. Even if she has someone else, part of her mind starts whispering, "What if I made the wrong choice? What if he becomes everything I ever wanted, but with someone else by his side?" That fear gnaws at her, and the more you keep upgrading quietly, the more that fear grows. You don't need to rub it in her face. You don't need to say a word, you simply need to live it. Go out, take care of your body, sharpen your mind, invest in your goals, and level up in every area. Let mutual friends, social media glimpses, or chance encounters deliver the message for you. The less you say about it, the more powerful it becomes, because it creates curiosity. Curiosity leads to longing, and longing leads to her wanting to come back. It's important to understand that this path requires patience and discipline. Silent transformation doesn't happen overnight. It takes weeks, months, maybe even years of steady work. But the payoff is immense. Not only do you become a man she regrets losing, but you also become a man who attracts higher quality opportunities in every aspect of life. And the irony is, by the time she's begging to come back, you may have outgrown her completely. This is the deeper truth up. Grading yourself in silence is not just about making her miss you. It's about becoming a man who no longer needs her validation to feel complete. When you reach that point, when you've rebuilt yourself into a stronger, more confident, more grounded man, she senses it. Women are drawn to men who can stand alone, who can thrive on their own, and who don't crumble when life tests them. That is what makes her look at you with fresh eyes, even if she's already with someone else. So, stop chasing, stop proving, stop announcing. Redirect all that energy toward building yourself in silence. Let the results be your loudest statement. Because when she sees the man you've become without her, the man who didn't fall apart but instead rose higher, she won't be able to ignore it. And when that moment comes, that's when she'll start to crave your presence again. One of the hardest things to do when a woman leaves you especially if she moves on with someone else, is to detach emotionally and take back your power. Most men do the exact opposite. They beg, they plead, they cry, they try to prove their worth, and in doing so, they hand over every ounce of power they once had. The truth is, the moment you show her that her absence has broken you, she feels justified in leaving. She feels like she made the right choice because she sees you falling apart without her. But when you stay composed, calm, and emotionally detached, you flip the script completely. Instead of confirming her decision, you make her question it. Instead of losing respect for you, she starts to respect you again. And respect, once it returns, is the very foundation of attraction. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring about her existence or erase the memories you had together. It means you stop letting those memories control your emotions. It means you stop reacting to her moves, her choices, or her attempts to get under your skin. It means you reclaim the ability to control your inner state regardless of what she does or doesn't do. That emotional control is what separates men who are forgotten from men who are remembered. Understand this. Women test men, consciously or unconsciously, to see if they can handle pressure. Life throws challenges at us all the time, and a man who crumbles emotionally is seen as weak, unreliable, and unattractive. If she leaves and you lose yourself, it confirms that you lack the strength she craves in a partner. But if she leaves and you hold your head high, continue moving forward, and refuse to let your emotions spill all over the place, you become the man she guesses walking away from. Jealousy is one of the biggest traps here. When she's with someone else, the temptation is to lash out, to insult him, to try to compete openly, or to make her feel guilty. But that reaction only makes you look small. It tells her that she still has control over your emotions. It tells her that she still has power over you, even when she's not by your side. Detachment, on the other hand, strips her of that power. When you no longer react, when you no longer show jealousy, when you remain unbothered, she starts to feel confused. She wonders why you're not chasing, why you're not fighting, why you're not trying to prove yourself. That confusion eventually turns into curiosity. Curiosity is dangerous for her because it makes her focus on you again. When she expected you to break down, but instead you became stronger, calmer, and more controlled, she starts to think about you more than she thought she would. And the more she thinks about you, the more she feels your presence in her mind. That's how emotional detachment actually pulls her back in. It creates a gap between what she expected and what she's seeing, and that gap keeps her mind occupied with you. Reclaiming your power also means you stop giving her the satisfaction of knowing she can control you. If she texts you, you don't jump to reply instantly. If she calls, you don't rush to pick up. If you happen to see her, you don't pour your emotions out onto her. Instead, you respond calmly, briefly, and in control. This doesn't mean you become cold or rude. It means you set boundaries with your energy. You don't let her in emotionally unless she earns that access back. That subtle shift shows her that she no longer has the same hold over you, and that's when she starts to feel the pull to regain it. The reason this is so powerful is because most men cannot do it. Most men get trapped in their emotions. They believe that showing how much they're hurting will somehow make her pity them or feel guilty enough to return. But women don't come back out of pity. They come back out of desire, and desire is triggered by respect, not weakness. When you detach emotionally and reclaim your power, you stop being the man who's begging for her love, and you become the man who is standing tall regardless of whether she's in your life or not. That shift alone makes you attractive again in ways words never could. There's also a deeper level to this. Emotional detachment allows you to truly focus on yourself. Instead of burning energy worrying about what she's doing, who she's with, or what she's thinking, you channel that energy back into your growth. You become calmer, sharper, and more centered. That inner calm radiates outward, and people, including her, feel it. Emotional control is magnetic because it shows that you are a man who doesn't let life dictate his state of mind. And women are naturally drawn to men who can remain centered when everything around them is uncertain. Imagine this. She sees you after weeks or months, expecting bitterness or anger, but instead you greet her with calm eyes, steady energy, and a composed smile. You don't interrogate her about who she's with, you don't show jealousy, you don't act desperate, you simply exist in your own strength, unshaken. That one moment alone can trigger regret in her heart more than any speech, because it shows her you're not the man she left. You're stronger than before. Another key element is patience. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you stop feeling, it means you master your response. That mastery doesn't happen overnight. At first, you'll want to check her social media, stalk her moves, or replay conversations in your head. But the more you practice letting go, the more you build resilience. Over time, that resilience becomes second nature, and she begins to feel the distance. That distance is what pulls her back, because it forces her to chase what she no longer feels she has. Reclaiming your power also means you redefine the frame of the relationship. When she left, she thought she had the upper hand. She thought she had the control, but when you stop chasing, stop reacting, and stop handing her your emotions, the frame shifts. Suddenly, she's the one wondering about you, thinking about you, and feeling uncertain. That shift is the turning point, because when she feels uncertain, she seeks reassurance. And often, that reassurance comes in the form of her reaching out, checking in, or trying to test if she still has a hold on you. That's when you'll know your emotional detachment has worked. This is how you turn heartbreak into power. Instead of letting her absence weaken you, you use it as fuel to grow stronger. Instead of giving her your emotions, you give them to yourself. Instead of letting jealousy eat at you, you let composure elevate you. And when you do this consistently, she won't be able to ignore the man you've become. She'll feel the difference, and she'll start to crave the strength, the calm, and the control that only you can provide. If you want to make a woman regret losing you and crave to come back, even when she's already with someone else, you must create a life so rich, so fulfilling, and so exciting that she can't help but want to be a part of it again. The truth is, no woman dreams of being with a man whose entire world revolves around her. She dreams of being with a man whose world is already big, full, and purposeful, so big that being with him feels like an upgrade to her own life. That's why the most powerful thing you can do is to build a life she wants to rejoin. Most men make the mistake of putting their lives on hold after a breakup. They stop going out, stop pursuing their passions, and sink into sadness while waiting for her to return. What they don't realize is that this only pushes her further away. A woman will not miss a man who disappears into nothingness. She misses a man whose presence continues to shine even without her. That is why instead of collapsing, you must rise. Instead of shrinking, you must expand. Every area of your life should begin to grow in a way that makes her look from the outside and feel that sense of longing to be part of your world again. Fill your days with purpose. If you've been delaying goals, now is the time to pursue them. Build your career, launch that project, focus on your fitness, travel, or dive into the hobbies you once loved but neglected. When you live with purpose and direction, you radiate energy that is attractive not just to women, but to everyone around you. People want to be near someone who is passionate about life. When she sees that spark in you again, she'll remember why she was drawn to you in the first place. But it's not only about achievements, it's about lifestyle. Surround yourself with people who uplift you. Engage in experiences that excite you. and create memories that make life richer. Go out with friends, network, try new adventures, explore new places. Share parts of this life naturally, not as a way to show off, but as a reflection of the man you've become. That energy is magnetic. It makes her curious, makes her wonder what it would feel like to be back by your side. The beauty of building a life she wants to rejoin is that it shifts the power dynamic. Instead of you chasing her, you create an environment where she begins to chase you. She starts to compare her current reality with the excitement, joy, and fulfillment she sees in your world. Even if she has someone else, that comparison lingers. The question of what if begins to haunt her. What if I made the wrong choice? What if his life keeps getting better without me? What if I'm missing out on being with a man who's actually growing? Those questions create doubt in her heart, and that doubt is what makes her look back at you with longing. The best part is, this isn't about manipulation. It's about becoming the best version of yourself, regardless of whether she returns or not. When you live a life that excites you, that fulfills you, and that inspires others, you don't even need her validation anymore. And ironically, it's in that moment when you no longer need her that she feels the strongest pull to come back. Because deep down, every woman wants to be with a man who doesn't just survive without her, but thrives. And that is how you build a life that makes her beg to return,